Right, so let's briefly touch on how you upload files to a server and save it on your server's, well, file system. You could do it in databases as well, but common practice for smaller applications is that you have a file system or something like that. You save your file to the file system, and then usually you put the name of the file that you want to reference in a database or something like that. We're not going to get that fancy. I'm just going to walk you through the bare bone basics of how to upload a file. So here we have our Express app, and we import an external package called Molter. Now, there are other packages that do this, but this is the one I usually use. So this is some specific Molter syntax where you declare a disk storage and you say, okay, so we have a destination, here's the request, the file object, and a callback function. And all I'm gonna do is the basics of basics. I'm gonna declare the public images directory to be the place where I want my file to be stored when it hits the server. Then we have the file name callback, or the file name function. It takes a request, a file, and a callback. Same thing here. Now this is like just for demonstration practices. You would not like what this will do is, in essence, will go to the file object, get the field name of the file I'm saving, assume that it's a JPEG. We don't do any type of like validation or anything like that, and it's always going to be the same name. So if I save a file twice, it's going to overwrite the previous file. So as I said, this is just to show you how this works. Now we instantiate Molter, we get an upload object that holds this information, then we initiate our Express app, set up the static servers, and then we have our views, we set that up. The view engine is EGS, we put that in place. Here we have our root endpoint that's going to render the index page, and then we have a post endpoint for /foo, and here comes the magic. This is the middleware that we provided through Molter. So upload.single and pick. So this basically means that you are going to be able to upload a single file with the name pick. The file name is going to be pick when we're sending it over the wire, and Molter is going to pick that up, execute these functions up here as per specified, and then all we're going to do is to render index again. Now index is this simple little file here. We have a form and a submit button and a input of type file, and you can see here that the name here is pick, which matches the expected pick string here, right? Okay, so we then have public, where this is the images directory where we're referencing over here, public images. So that's where we're going to serve our content. Now, as you can see, we're actually referencing this image from our document as well. So if I now go to my running application, you can see that there's a broken link image here, or the broken link to an image, and that's because there's no file on the file system. So here we have a file input type and a submit button. So I click choose file, and I pick an arbitrary little image here I have for one of my other projects. I click open, so now that's loaded, and if I click submit, boom, I go to /foo and there's my image. Now I can do this again. Remember what I was saying, this is a very trivial example, so we're going to overwrite the old file every time we submit it. So now if we go to images, we can see that the pick is actually here. So that's how file uploads work. Now, in order to be able to do this at the HTML level, what you're going to want to do is to set an action to whatever endpoint is going to receive your data, set the method to post, and here is a specific thing you need to do. So the protocol or encoding type that you need to set is multipart /form data for this specific scenario, and that basically means that you're telling the server that what you're sending is not just a regular form, it's actually form data, or it's actually an octet stream of binary data, which in this case is the file. And then you have a type set to file on the input element, and as I said earlier, set the name to whatever you want the receiving property to be named. So in this case it's pick. I could change this to anything I want, but you know, pick is good enough for now. Okay, so these are the basics of uploading a file to a server.